So today I want to tie a pattern um, that I learned from the late Bill Fenstemaker. Bill was a really talented artist and fly tyer from the western slope of Colorado. Bill and I first encountered each other years ago while I was doing fly tying events in like probably Grand Junction or Montrose, one of those western cities, um, and we were we were both tying flies at the 2016 Eastern Rocky Mountain Council of the Federation of Fly Fishers. Back in 2016, so it's a number of years ago, and as often as the want, I went around. I wanted to see what other guys were tying. And Bill was tying this crayfish pattern, and I knew the moment I saw it, it was a great pattern. It just has all the elements of a good fly. You can see, when you look at it like this, you've got some rabbit for the claws. You've got, a lot of, you've got some rubber hackle. It's going to fish very jig-like, and it's weighted. It's tied on a jig style hook, a Gamakatsu jig style hook, and so I fish these with a clip, and the way it's weighted, it just falls and moves really naturally in the water. So let's go ahead and let's tie one of these guys. The hook I'm going to use is this Gamakatsu hook, and you can see it's a jig style hook. Here's the hook for it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by I'm going to begin here. I'm going to begin by I'm going to put a little tungsten cone on this fly. I'm going to start there. So this is going to add some weight, but I'm also going to put some lead. This is lead substitute. And I'll show you again how I work with lead. Remember, I've shown you this with some of the nymph patterns I've tied. If you work with it off of your bobbin, you don't have any waste. So I'm going to come in here, and what you do is you just take that, you just put it just on the far side of the hook shank, pinch it there, and then come and get a wrap. Now you can't work with it like thread. You can't, turn the bobbin at a 90-degree angle. You have to keep the bobbin pointed at the hook shank as you go around. So let's see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll do 10 wraps here. 10. Maybe I'll do another one or two. Yeah, that looks about right. I do want some weight in this. And then I'm just going to come in here with a little pair of side cutters and side cut that. Then all I do is I come and I tighten it up, twist it up tight, and I'm going to shove it right up into that cone good and tight. Yeah, and so I have no waste with my lead doing it that way. Now I'm tying this in an olive, and for most lake fishing, olive's a great color. I tend to use olive colored crayfish in lakes, and then I'll use my rust colored ones in rivers. But I'm going to start behind the lead here. I'm going to just start by building a nice thread dam. Just kind of make a little cone-shaped thread dam here. Let me grab my scissors. And then I'll wrap up through this, although it's pretty tight already, but just to make sure that lead is secure. Now the thing about this is like maybe one of the most important parts of the fly, because this is, along with the jig hook, this weight is going to really make this fly fall it's going to fall naturally. A lot of times I've had fish just take this fly as it's falling. So you gotta, really pay attention. I fish these on a floating fly line with a real long, fairly long leader and pretty heavy tippet, like 16, 20-pound test tippets. You know, because you're fishing it around, you want, you want, you don't need lighter tippets for this. You want heavier tippets. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to add is I have some silicone silly legs here, and they're just kind of a mottled olive color. That's kind of, you can see they got a couple different shades of olive in there. And all I need to do is I'm just going to pull one here. Let me get this bunch down here. I'll grab this one here. There we go. So I'm going to bend it over. Just bend it over the hook shank like that. And then walk it right down in there. Get a wrap or two to start it. And then just hold it up on top here and walk it back. Now you don't pull down too hard on your thread, because this stuff is a little bit delicate and you can cut through it. Then what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to, kind of like a dry fly tail, I'm going to pull this up and I'm just going to set this. I'll do it one more time. Just kind of set those so that they're kind of up away from the hook shank a little bit, and then I'll just come in and trim them. Okay. Now, here are my rabbit strips I'm going to use. You can see this is a barred rabbit strip. I just cut it out. I'll be using these for the claws and the back, the carapace and back of the fly. So when I come in, I can either use I could use a cream colored dubbing if I wanted to, but I'm using I just go a shade lighter, so my rust colored ones, it'll be kind of a cream with a little rust color to it. And what I do is, and you see me, I've mixed, you can see there's a lot of sparkle in that when I roll that around in the light. Okay, that's because I've mixed 3 different dubbings. This is just some old natural fur. This is really old. I've had this a long time, but just kind of some kind of a light olive fur dubbing. It could be muskrat, beaver, whatever you want, but a natural fur dubbing. Then I took a little bit of Nature's Spirit Peacock Disco, and I cut that up. When I take it out, I slice it up, cut it up into smaller things, and then I've got some of this, some additional dubbing. This happens to be what it is. There's whatever. It's a UV, but you can see it's got, some nice sparkle in it. And I take those 3 dubbings and I just mix them here. Here's my dubbing blender. It's just a coffee blender is all it is. There's nothing magic about it. But I'll throw those 3 dubbings in. So I created this little dubbing mix. You don't need to do that. You could just use a light olive or a cream colored dubbing would be fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to do a direct dub technique where I'm going to dub, and I'm going to dub a ball. I want to dub a fairly substantial ball of dubbing right behind those 2, basically those are antennae, kind of the antenna that crayfish have. And I want to make a fairly substantial dubbing ball, because this is what's going to separate the 2 rabbit strip claws that I'm putting on this. And if you just keep it tight and you wrap right on top like that, and then come in here right behind the ball and get some good thread wraps to push up against it, just to create that nice dubbing ball. There's just a nice good sized dubbing ball there. Okay, so I've prepped out 2 little rabbit strips here. If you flip them over, you can see they're the same length, and on both of them I've trimmed off the fur on the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of these guys, I'm going to lay that just in on the side there, come in, you can see I'm just grabbing and putting it on the side of the hook shank like that. And then I'm going to take this one and lay it in on the side. And come in and tighten it down. And I'll take both these and I'll do some wraps and kind of force them right up against that dubbing ball. That'll get them to separate out a little bit. So now you can kind of see what it looks like. You know, you can see those are going to simulate the claws. Now I'm going to come up in here to the halfway point, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get three of my rubber legs. I'm going to lay them across the hook shank like this. Start by getting a wrap like that on them. Make sure they're relatively even. And I'm just going to do kind of a little figure 8 wrap on them here. They will get secured down with the body when I bring the body dubbing up too. I'm just trying to get them in place, and I'm figure 8ing them so they go out to the sides. There we go. That's pretty good. And now, I could have done this before I did the legs. This order doesn't matter. I need to add some wire to this. I could have put the wire in first, then the legs, or vice versa. It doesn't really make any difference. But I want to put some wire in here. And then bring the legs forward and wrap this wire back. And we'll just set it down here in my vise. And I'm just going to wrap that right back, that wire, I'm going to go right back to those claws. Now, okay, there we go. I think that wire's in there good and secure. I'm going to come back to my dubbing, and I'm going to dub a body. I want to dub a fairly robust body. You could do a dubbing loop here if you wanted. I don't think it matters. I'm just going to direct dub this stuff on here. So I've got a dubbing loop going, or not a dubbing loop rather, but a noodle of dubbing going. And I'm just doing a direct dub technique. So I'm dubbing directly onto the thread, and then wrapping, and then tightening it as I come. I keep spinning it counterclockwise, which helps me to tighten it up. I gotta kind of keep pushing my legs forward here. I'm gonna bring this dubbing right up behind the legs. And I want to dub a fairly substantial body on this pattern. There we go. Now we can pull the legs back and get some dubbing right there in front of them. And you're not really worrying about segmentation or anything like that here. You're just dubbing it up, just getting a nice dub body. You do want to bring that dubbing right up to the cone and actually do a fairly, really force some dubbing in behind that cone to fill in that little gap right there. Okay, there we go. So there you can see the body dubbed in there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fly and I'm going to turn it over in my vise. So now the hook point's going to ride up. Get my wire back out of the way. Got to be careful with the wire. You don't want to crimp it and break it. Pull my legs one to each side. Now I'm going to take one of my pieces of rabbit here, and I'm going to take this and just a short distance, maybe I'll leave a couple millimeters there is all. I'm going to, right in the center of that leather, I'm going to pull that through and put it on the hook shank like that. Now I've got to lift this up again, drop this down, then bring everything down under here, get my wire out of my handle there because I need to squeeze it to get my hook back in. So now I've got this up on top here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it forward. I'll show you on your side, far side here. I'm going to put a hole right here where the hook eye is, and then I'm going to slide this over the hole, but I'm going to do it over on my side where I can see it. So I measured out, I put a little tension on the, put a little bit of tension on the strip there. All right, let's go back and try to find it again. Okay, there it is now. Let's see if I can, there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this rabbit fur, I'm going to stroke it back towards the hook point, and my thread is sitting right behind the cone. I'm going to just kind of hold this down, all this fur down, and bind it right behind the cone there. And then I'm going to come in here, and what I do is I measure this out. I come out, I got the cone, and I come out about 1 cone distance ahead of the eye of the hook. Use my razor blade, and I just cut through that little strip there. Okay, and then I'm even going to come in here and trim off some of the fur from around that. I don't really need the fur back there. Okay, so now I'm going to take the rabbit fur, I'm going to hold it down, stroke it down, and keep it down here tight. Get my legs forward. Watch out for the hook point, it's sitting there, and these hooks are sharp. So I'm going to come right there with, I've got my claws. I come right there with that first wrap, and then I'm going to just spiral wrap, come up here, get one wrap right in. Let's pull my legs forward here. Oops, what happened to my thread? Up, there we are. Keep that thread up front there. Pull my legs forward, and let's get a wrap right in behind my legs. And then I'll come get a wrap right in front of my legs. Try to space it evenly if you can. Then I'll come right in here, right there where those thread wraps are. And then, yes, you can whip finish wire. So I'm going to just get a couple wraps in there. Use my side cutters, cut my wire. You can use your scissors if you want, but I like to save my scissors if possible. I'm just going to come put a few wraps over top of that. Then I'll just add just a little bit of zap to my thread here, just to kind of make this a little more secure. Wrap that thread in there, then I'll come in, put a whip finish on top of that glued thread, just like that. Then come in here and clip my thread. And then I'll get my legs here. I'm going to leave them long. This is kind of a jig fly after all. So there you have it. And you can see, here's your, let me do it like that. You got your claws here. You got this coming over the front like that. You got the legs here coming off the bottom. And when you hook this fly up, it's going to swim. And there's just a lot of natural texture and movement in this fly. Right now it looks like a sort of a bunch of just rabbit hair piled on top of the hook shank here. But when it gets in the water, it looks great. And I've caught a lot of fish on this, both in lakes and in rivers. So there you have it. There's Bill's crayfish. Great fly tire, great fly pattern, and it was a real privilege for me to be able to tie this fly and show you this pattern today. So thanks a lot.